Time for my June TBR. Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Zach with Zacks Books, and today I've got for you my June TBR. May, I read all 5 books that I had planned and were in my TBR, so I think I might continue the trend and just keep it at 5. However, there are a few new releases coming out this month. I know Riley Sager's the big one, so he probably will end up being one of the books I read. I have 5 on this list. 1 is a toss-up as of to if I get to it. The true 5th book would probably be Riley Sager, but I don't have it. And I'm not going to waste the time to talk about it because I don't have it. I got 5 books here. We'll link them down below if you're intrigued with any of them. Otherwise, don't forget to look at Danielle's channel down below, the bookstagrams and everything. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into the list. First one up is one I believe I've had in TBR in the past, and that is The Twisted Dead by Darcy Coates. So this is book 3 in the Gravekeeper series, which has The Whispering Dead and The Ravenous Dead. Or Ravenous Dead, whatever. I've read both of those. In this 3rd book, we're still following Kira as she is trying to get back into having a normal life. But, as you can guess, it probably is not going to be the case. I personally like this cover the most because it is purple. I like the first 2 books in the series. It's been a relatively average series so far. It hasn't been, like, spectacular, but it's been pretty solid. I'd say both the first 2 books I've given 4 stars so far, if I'm not mistaken. So hopefully this one will keep the trend. I don't think I've ever had a Darcy Coates book be 3 stars or less. The closest I might have had was a 3.5, but typically all of her work is usually about 4 or 5 stars. So I know I just read The Haunting of Rookwood House, and I think I gave that one 4.5 or 4 or something like that. So very good author. I don't want to know too much about this one because obviously it is a book 3 in this. Well, now it's a trilogy, but who knows if she's going to continue it or not. Otherwise, seems like it's a solid trilogy, and I want to keep going and see if this might be the end of Kira. You never know. But yeah, there you have The Twisted Dead by Darcy Coates. Alright, next up is the Danielle Pick of the Month. We are bringing that back. Last month, I don't know if you had a pick. Maybe it was Alex Finlay. I don't know, it's probably mine. Everyone in my family has killed someone by Benjamin Stevenson. So she has read this book. I believe it was a 5-star read. Good thing you held up a 5 because I almost said 4. I pay attention to when she reads. So this book she really enjoyed. She thought it was really, really good. Again, when it comes to the Danielle picks, I usually just want to go off of what she says and not know a whole lot going into it. But I will read you the blurb in the book. Knives Out and Clue meet Agatha Christie and the Thursday Murder Club in this fiendishly clever blend of classic and modern murder mystery. So Knives Out was a phenomenal movie. Clue, obviously, is Danielle's favorite board game, and it's also a really good movie. Agatha Christie I've not read anything by, and the Thursday Murder Club, I think I started that book and I gave up on it. So that's 2 out of 4. So, but again, Danielle really liked it, so I'm going, and she usually has got good picks, so definitely a book I want to address. It sounds intriguing, and based on what Danielle said, I'm probably going to like it too. So, but we'll see. Everyone in my family has killed someone. Benjamin Stevenson. Alright, so last month I had 2 rereads. Both were Stephen King, Christine and The Stand. This month I'm not planning to do a reread of King. I'm planning to do a reread of a classic book that I thought was really good, and I've been watching some clips of the movie on YouTube, and so I've been like, I want to reread this book now. The Silence of the Lambs by Thomas Harris. So, which this edition is a 1st edition, and it looks absolutely phenomenal. It's in perfect condition, and we got it for $10 at Half Price Books. So, what a steal. What can I say about this book? I feel like I'm doing a book review, but this is a TBR. Gosh darn. This book, the first time I read it, was tremendous. It was a 5-star read. It was in my top 5 books of the year when I read it. I think 2021. I think it was when I read it. It was very good, and I'm hoping it stays true this time around because it is a really solid story. Now, I need to read Red Dragon because I think that's the first in the series. I think it goes Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal, and Hannibal Rises. I think is the last book, if I'm not mistaken. So I definitely need to read Red Dragon one of these days. I know that's been on a TBR in the past, and I just haven't gotten to it. Maybe to get me back into the mood of it, maybe read this, and that'll get me wanting to read Red Dragon again. This we're following a detective, Clarice Starling, I think her last name is. Off the top of my head, I don't remember, but I know it's Clarice. She's on a hunt for Buffalo Bill, who is a serial killer. He's basically murdering women, skinning them. He's trying to like make a woman suit, in short. And she's getting the help of Hannibal Lecter to try and like find him and figure out, you know, who he is and everything. First time I read this book, it was great. Like I said, it was 5 stars. So I'm hoping it can be the same thing with this one. So yeah, there you have The Silence of the Lambs by Thomas Harris. Alright, so last month I read 2 Stephen King books. This month I'm aiming to try and do the same thing. And these 2 are new. The last month they were both rereads. And I have to get one of these done because of a release coming out this year. So the first book I'm going to talk about is Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King. So this is a... I don't know much about the Hodges trilogy, which is what... This is the Bill Hodges trilogy is what this is. You got Mr. Mercedes, Finders Keepers, and End of Watch. And the reason why I want to read the trilogy is because of a book coming out in September called Holly. That's also by Stephen King. And the reason being is Holly is based off of one of the characters in this trilogy and The Outsider, which that's a book I probably should reread too, but I don't know if I'm going to have time. I probably will, but whatever. She's also in a short story in If It Bleeds, and I think it's the story If It Bleeds in that book. But I don't know much about her as a whole because I did not start with this trilogy. I also don't know a whole lot about the trilogy, except for some of this is not King's best work. I have some people who I've watched where they say that this is really good, like the trilogy is really good. And there's some people who say he like writes women really bad in this trilogy. Like it's not a modern take on them or something like that. Or I don't remember what they said, but they did not like how King wrote women in Mr. Mercedes. I don't know if that's true for the entire series or if it's just this one. If you know more about the Hodges trilogy, without spoiling anything, let me know in the comments down below. Because I really don't know a whole lot about the trilogy because it's not something that's really like sparked my interest to read it. But with Holly coming out this year, I always read the new release for Stephen King and do a vlog on it, which is my plan this year. And depending on when it happens, because obviously we got Baby coming in September, so it might be after or it might be before. We don't know yet. So I need to read the trilogy first. I might dip into The Outsider again, but all in all, I'm not 100% sure. But I know the trilogy has to get done, and I just don't know anything about it because it hasn't intrigued me enough to really look into it. So if you know more about it, let me know in the comments. Spoiler free, of course. Otherwise, the first book, Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King. Alright, before I get into the last book, like I mentioned earlier, there is a few releases coming out this month that I am more wanting to read than this last book, even though I really want to read this book. Riley Sager has one coming out this month, like I said. Ruth Ware's got one coming out too. If you check out my Bookstagram down below, we made a post with, I think there's 8 of them, or 6 of them, or something like that, with releases coming out this month that most intrigue me, or Danielle. Danielle is also posting a June release video. I don't know if it's going to be out before this or after this, but she'll have that on her channel. Check her out down below if you wanted more information on those. I know I haven't done one of those in a long time. I don't know if that's something I'm going to do. It might be something that Danielle does for her channel, just because she likes doing it more than I do personally, so, but whatever. But this book is if I have time to get to it, because, like I said, I want to get through the Hodges trilogy. My plan is to read one of them a month leading into September, but I might read 2 in a month. Depends how I feel. So this next book is a book that I started and I didn't finish it, and I only got like maybe a 32nd of the way into the book, maybe like 50 pages. The Talisman by Stephen King and Peter Straub. So as you can see, I do have a little bookmark in here, leaving off where I left off, which I believe is page 60 something. I'm going to restart it because I started this I don't know, a while ago. Same thing with this. I don't know a whole lot about it. I know the narrator is a narrator that I love, Frank Muller. He did the first 4 Dark Tower books, and he also did, there's another book he did, but I can't remember what it is, The Regulators, but I didn't really enjoy that book the first time around, which that's a book I have to reread, that and Desperation. But he reads this one, and I am so excited because he's my favorite King narrator because he does such a good job. That and Steven Weber. He did it. So I know there's some Dark Tower references in this book. I know this is a book about a kid named Jack Sawyer and his mom who are like on the run. I don't know much else besides that. Even the first 50 pages, it's been so long since I started this. And I've been concussed since then, and I just do not remember a lot about this book. But a lot of people say Black House is a lot better and has more Dark Tower references in it. However, The Talisman is technically still the first book, even though you guys said I don't have to read this first. I'm stubborn. I have to read this book first. And for some reason, I also seem to like books that a lot of people don't like, and a lot of people don't like The Talisman. Case in point, Dreamcatcher. I absolutely love that book, and almost 98% of the world hates it. So maybe this is a book that might end up in my top 10. Who knows? It might knock the stand off. But yeah, I'm very excited to get to this. I'm also very upset because this was supposed to be a trilogy. Obviously, that can't happen now because Peter Straub has passed. But King could write one in his honor. But yeah, so this book is if I have time to get to it, which I really hope I do because I really want to get to it. This month is going to be very hectic, especially with work and everything. So, but yeah, otherwise, there you have The Talisman by Stephen King and Peter Straub. Yes, we also just figured out that Frank Muller does The Silence of the Lambs too, so that makes it even juicier. But yeah, there are 5 books I plan to read in the month of June. Obviously, subject to change. I'm going to try and get to them like I did last month. And obviously, there's the other new releases that are still not out yet that would be on this list. I just didn't want to put them on this list because I would rather hold up a physical book. But otherwise, I'll probably do my usual. I'll have a Riley Sager vlog, unlike last year where I actually DNF'd the book, The House Across the Lake, which was not that good. But hopefully this other one is going to be good because it sounds really good. We'll have these 5 linked down below, like I said. Otherwise, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you're planning to read in the month of June. And see you in the next one. Later.